Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Ty Learned, and today with me I have Lonk's Takes. Go ahead, say what's up, man.
Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Lonk's Takes, and I'm really happy to be on this channel for the first time, like, officially.
Yeah, I mean, Lonk's has some pretty reliable Invincible videos that you guys should definitely go and check out. And surprisingly, one of his videos actually inspired this one, that being, can Goku stop a Viltrumite invasion? Basically, I'm going to be swip swapping it and saying, can Invincible stop the Saiyan invasion, or basically the events that happened in the Saiyan saga?
And I think, actually, personally, this is a very different kind of matchup from that previous one. In that last video, I was kind of taking just, like, this whole fodder army of Viltrumites against Goku. And here we're talking about two characters who are either a little bit weaker or a lot stronger than Goku at that point, versus Mark, who essentially is the strongest Viltrumite by the end of Invincible.
And with that, I feel like Dragon Ball scaling always gets constantly talked about and is a lot easier to discuss than Invincible. So I'd rather start the video off with the Invincible scaling just to get it out of the way.
So when it comes to Invincible scaling, there's always this one feat that is the defining, at least for attack potency feat of the entire series. And that's when 3 Viltrumites are able to destroy planet Viltrum. When this feat happens, there's a lot of factors going into it that makes it more than just saying, oh, they blew up a planet, so they're all planetary, let's just move on. And that's a fact that the planet that they're destroying, one, is made unstable before they even destroy it, and they even think they can't tank the explosion if they're fully caught in it, which really strongly implies that, like, this is more of maybe a small planetary feat for each of them rather than just, like, each of them being, like, a solid planet buster. But from this, all 3 of them immediately after get completely trashed by Thrag, who essentially is the strongest Viltrumite at the time. And then by the end of the series, we see that Mark, while he is kind of a little bit weaker than him, he's able to essentially match Thrag. So if you want to say he can now pull off that same feat from before, but by himself rather than needing help, go for it. That would probably put him more at the small planets to maybe approaching just planetary levels of AP, especially with how far in the future Invincible eventually ends, and how Viltrumites kind of are implied to get stronger over time. As for speed, there are kind of 2 major speed feats in this series, and both of them have to do with travel speed. However, there are implications from data books that characters' reaction speed, and then likely their ability to react to attacks and respond to them with their own movement speed, actually do scale to their flying speed. And the major feat that I think is the most consistent is when Alan the Alien crosses the solar system in only a couple minutes. There's a few calcs depending on what you actually consider the solar system, but regardless, this still puts them all at, like, massively faster than light speed.
And I think one last thing to, it's just a little side note, nothing too serious, is the fact that if Invincible gets enraged, similar to the likes of Saiyans, Viltrumites kind of just get way stronger through rage boosts. And like with what Lonk was saying with how Invincible ends, like with Mark as an adult, it's more than likely that an adult Mark, while enraged, could probably be like way higher into the planetary range. But I don't think there's any quantifiable number for this rage boost and how much stronger he would get as an adult.
You're absolutely right with that. Unfortunately, this is not a series like Dragon Ball where characters get, like, power levels or something. It's all speculative how exactly much stronger Mark is getting between any of these instances, unfortunately.
Yeah, but just for those who want to mention it and, want to keep this in mind, then, here you go. And now let's talk about the Saiyans that are going to be invading Earth, specifically Vegeta and Nappa. Now, Vegeta and Nappa are even easier to scale and pinpoint where they are, as the biggest feats we've seen by this point in the story are Piccolo's moon-busting feat and King Vegeta's triple planet wipe with just the wave of his hand. The Piccolo feat comes out to around small planet level, with King Vegeta's being in the large planetary range, which seems consistent as Vegeta has a power level of 18,000, making him stronger than both his father and Piccolo by an exponential margin. Nappa's power level is around 4,000, which is not enough to say he's large planet level, but I definitely think he should be well above Piccolo's feat, as he beats a far stronger version of the character who performs the feat. It's also stated in a guide in order to destroy a planet, you need to have a power level of over 10,000, but this is more than likely talking about most planets that exist, since Earth is considered small in Dragon Ball, and even characters like Roshi and King Piccolo were busting moons and threatening Earth entirely when they were relevant. So Nappa should be in that small to regular planetary range, while Vegeta is well into large planet. As for speed, well, they should be well into light speed, as Goku as a kid was reacting to solar flare and dodging lasers, which if we use power levels and say they aren't just linear, since we have Dodoria, who is less than 2% weaker than Vegeta, not being able to lay a finger on him. So going by that, both Nappa and Vegeta should be well into light speed. And as for their abilities, I don't think anything is too crazy to know. I mean, they can fly, shoot energy blasts. Nappa is more so of a brute, so I don't think he really has any skill, but Vegeta definitely does have some experience in hand-to-hand.
I also think it's really important to note that all of this that we're talking about right now are them in their base forms. Like, if it really does come down to it, either through luck of it being like a night with a full moon, or if Vegeta is able to get off a power ball, they can use the Uzaru forms, which makes them literally 10 times stronger, which massively increases their scaling.
Yeah, I mean, with the 10 times amp, we have Nappa going from a power level of 4,000 to 40,000, meaning he's above the Goku who just completely negated the Gallic Gun that was going to blow up Earth. And we have Vegeta going from 18,000 to 180,000, meaning he would surpass any member of the Ginyu Force. And with all of that in mind, let's talk about what would actually happen if the Saiyans invaded the Invincible verse. The Saiyans would drop down on Earth in search of the Dragon Balls. Upon landing, Nappa would destroy a nearby city like in Cannon, which just so happens to be Mark's hometown. He's currently patrolling around elsewhere, so he would recognize a big nuke going off, killing everyone he loves and leaving 2 strangers. With this, Mark off the bat would be horrified, but mainly enraged at what just happened. With the boy already bloodlusted, Nappa would laugh, saying he'd take care of things from here, before Mark would then send him flying with a punch that neither Nappa or Vegeta could perceive.
The fight would begin, and Nappa would be able to withstand Mark's punches, but due to just like the sheer gap in speed, because Nappa just does not scale as high as Vegeta and not even close to Mark in speed, he'd have a lot of trouble against him. And since Mark is already comparable to him in strength, and without holding back, Nappa would get done a lot worse than how he already was done by Goku in the Saiyan Saga, being brutally beaten by the hero rather than just humiliated. Vegeta, seeing this, would be amused at what he has to offer for him, and the two of them would immediately lock eyes and engage in a battle.
Now, Mark should still be decently faster than Vegeta, but with Vegeta being exponentially both stronger and faster, along with applying martial arts, Invincible won't be able to just punch his way to a victory. Vegeta should be well above Mark in terms of strength, and although Mark could be potentially in Vegeta's tier due to being enraged and a lot stronger by the end of the series, it's still unquantifiable and unlikely to even be a factor due to the gap Vegeta has shown. And let's say Mark is just gonna get more and more enraged, you know, Vegeta's taunting him and making Invincible stronger and stronger. This is only gonna just allow Vegeta to either adapt to the conditions or just get stronger himself by amplifying himself with Ki, or like what Lonk was saying, just form a power ball and become Ozaru, which we have an actual quantification of how strong that makes Vegeta. And worst comes to worst, I feel like 2 scenarios are going to happen. Either Vegeta gets enraged and just blows up the planet with Gallic Gun with Mark on it, or he just turns Ozaru and just stomps him out. Or better yet, if Nappa and Vegeta just don't want to play around and go Ozaru off rip, then honestly, Nappa might be able to fold, bro. Or at least do some pretty good damage to him.
It's pretty unfortunate how, like, I feel like Vegeta and Nappa, just as like characters when it comes to these matches, are like a hard cutoff point for a lot of verses. Like, if you can't handle them, you can't handle a lot of series. And unfortunately, the Invincible verse just like isn't built like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the comparison between the verses though, and I do, I guess, like the narrative implication that this would mean. You know, we have someone like Mark being in Goku's shoes who actually wants to like help people. Goku does that by nature, and you know, he is just a genuinely good person, but Mark wants to do this because, you know, he wants to be a better hero. And being put in such a hopeless situation that was the Earthlings in the Saiyan Saga, and you know, basically combining it with something like Invincible, which is already known for its horrific and graphic scenes, I feel like these 2 scenarios mesh pretty well together.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially just how similar Saiyans and Viltrumites are. It would be an interesting scenario to see if Mark could do it if he could get like King Kai's training or something, but that's something we could never know.
I was talking to other people about it, and I kind of came to the conclusion that Mark would probably be around that like 8,000-9,000 range in terms of power level, probably.
Yeah, that would be about where he is. I think the main problem is, like, unlike Dragon Ball, like the speed and strength correlation isn't quite the same. But around like a 9,000 would probably right. He's probably pretty comparable to like base Goku at that time.
And with that, unfortunately, Invincible would not be able to stop the Saiyan invasion. But if you guys did enjoy this collab between me and Lonk, and you guys want us to collab more on other, you know, future topics, let us know down below. And be sure to go and subscribe to his channel. I will be leaving that linked in the description.
My pleasure to be here. Hopefully we could do more stuff like this in the future. And of course, if you want to check me out, you can, but you don't have to.
With all that in mind, let me know down in the comments if you guys think I'm dumb, or you know, I'm smart, I'm a genius. Like, come on, guys. Let's not kid ourselves. I am a genius. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next one.